many of our opinions. And so it's important to kind of understand how that works. There's somebody generally has stuff, and then there's a person, and you need to have a guardian of the person, and you need to have a guardian of the financial stuff, if you will.
Right. So there is a difference between being a guardian over an individual and being the executive over a trust.
Yes, absolutely.
And what are the differences?
Again, just in terms of the responsibilities. Sometimes the same person has those responsibilities. I generally, being a trustee for a special needs trust is a fairly burdensome administrative position, and if you don't know the rules, you can easily, cross the wrong lines and create some significant problems. So I generally recommend that family members be more of act in a trustee position or an advisor position to say, gee, if the trustee is not doing a good job, then perhaps I need a different trustee, but not to act in that capacity. And then being the guardian of the person, that would involve things like where does somebody live, what kind of medical decisions are made, and some more basic kind of questions there. So they could be the same person, or they might be different.
As far as one of our viewers had a question about testimonial special needs trust and what that entails.
A testamentary special needs trust is a trust that is established by a will. And a testamentary trust is something that I rail against as often as possible.
Why?
So, because a trust that is established by will essentially condemns that trust to be in probate forever. And so the cost of being in probate and the annual accounting of probably 60 to 80 hours of some kind of an accountant or an attorney are prohibitive and completely unnecessary. So a trust that is, so the best thing to do is to draw that trust up during the parent's lifetime, and or what's sometimes referred to as an interveiws trust, and the trust is established then during the person's lifetime, and then is not part of the will.
So is an interveiws trust the same as a living special needs trust?
Yes.
So they're one and the same. Can you give any other advice to parents as far as how to handle a movie, a standard movie experience, or any other outings?
Well, we talk about a number of things. One of the things I always like to talk about first, though, is probably a hang tag or a placard.
What's a hang tag?
A hang tag is one of those blue hang tags that hangs down from your rear view mirror and allows you to have preferred parking. Well, many families like ours, our children don't have a healthy sense of danger. There may be an object like a drain or some sort of water that might be extremely interesting to the children, and the fact that some car is zipping by means nothing to them.
Exactly.
And so the safety of our children in a parking lot is an important issue. So starting with parking, one of the things that the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles recognizes is that people with autism sometimes need to have preferred parking. So that's certainly an important resource in terms of getting the car anywhere and getting your person inside safely.
Right.
Once we get somewhere, there's oftentimes a little bit of a wait, whether you're coming to an event where you're buying a ticket or getting popcorn or doing something. So that's, again, something particularly with people with autism have a difficult time understanding the waiting aspect. And so we try to rehearse that and figure out, okay, how long is that going to take, and how can we minimize that as well?
Do you have strategies in order to make it more of a pleasant experience?
We try and figure out what activities or books or other resources might provide some comfort and might provide something to do while we're sitting and waiting for the ticket or the popcorn. So we can talk about the different pictures that are up there and what we're going to do and how much it might cost and what the money might look like and who's going to be in charge of paying for the drinks and the popcorn.
Now, I understand that you also talk about a blueprint called Out and About. What is that actually?
And out and about is just creating an overall plan for parents to say, how do we address this? What are we trying to accomplish when we go out and about and see someplace? We want to take advantage. There's some social goals that we might be able to work on. There's some educational goals that we might be able to work on. So sometimes what we talk about is sort of a hidden curriculum. And so depending on what the parents might be looking to accomplish, we look for ways of practicing all these goals in what is often a very motivating circumstance.
Do you have anything that you want to touch base on as far as on the trust that we haven't spoke on that parents should be aware of in regards to as far as creating a trust for their children?
Probably one of the most important areas is really doing a thorough search, because once the document exists, it's very important, and this is really where a financial advisor kind of comes in here, is to look at all the other financial aspects of somebody's life and to make sure that they're in line with the legal documents. So for example, I might establish a special needs trust, so that's great, but if my life insurance beneficiary doesn't list that as a contingent beneficiary, first my wife and then my trust, well then by law it'll go to my kids. So I've sort of defeated the purpose going on there. Okay. Pensions are another critical aspect that many people, and certainly in our area, from both the government and the military, that it's very important to understand what the pension benefits will be, because a disabled child would be eligible for survivor pension benefits from both of those, and sometimes from some private organizations as well. So really doing a very thorough scrub. Where does the money, where do all the financial aspects go to? And unfortunately the default doesn't work for many of our families, because the default would be the kid's going to inherit something and then that's going to maybe cost them significant benefits.